Don't be afraid. Hold on. You'll find your way.
Welcome to Growth Made Groovy, where we talk about everything from healing medicine music, working through life challenges,
and developing awareness and connections as we heal and grow along our journey.
Hey everybody, I'm Noel.
And I'm Caroline.
And welcome
to
Growth Made Groovy.
We'll get that figured out one of these days.
The podcast.
Podcast.
We're glad to be with you today, wherever you may be, however you may be watching or listening or flowing along with us. So today's song was a song that we never really released in any way or shape or form. So it's got one of our more raw recordings. But the song's called Whole Love, and it was another one where we wrote and just kind of like fell through the cracks, but then we picked it back up a couple of years later. We wrote it on 6/26/2019, and this recording was in about March 24th, 2021. It's just about it's called Whole Love. And so, and like I said, it's the next song in our catalog, but it does kind of, Caroline was saying to me earlier, goes with the times that we are having right now. I just want to bring it up and kind of share a little bit about what it does for each one of us and what it might for you. So I'm going to go ahead and play it, unless you had something you wanted to share, Caroline.
No, just beyond the rawness is like a whole nother level of understanding of what the words mean. If you can pick the words out, because we don't have them obviously up on screen, but we'll go over them. But just being able to just go beyond and feel your way through the words and see what it feels like for you too.
Beautiful. All right. So with that, here's Whole Love. Love, oh love, love, oh love, love, oh love, love, oh love. And I seen heaven up above, from the valley down below, as he thought about the problems at his core. So he just died and left his home for the wonder of the road, leaving on the greatest stories to be told. And as his pain began to crumble, the moment that he stumbled, the divine was there in a flash for him to know. And with the guiding of a glow, with the love and he was shown by a woman with the strength to help him home. She said, love, oh love, love, oh love. Family was in trouble at the thought of him being humble by the violence of separateness and land. Like a diamond in the rough, as the going got too tough, he just doubled down and thought of her again. And when she entered through his heart blue, like a rose kissed with perfume, from the shine of what is not what might have been, and they blended into oneness with the love that comes from wholeness, leaving fear alone to live a life within. Singing love, oh love, love, oh love. All right.
I have to say something about that tune.
Yeah.
I have always dug that tune. It's really, is that a bluesy thing or it kind of reminds me of like Louisiana, whatever those old songs from, you know what I mean? The rough old bluesy ish. Am I on the right track? I don't know.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I just, there's something about that kind of draws in me. So as far as the tune goes, I love that tune.
Yeah, no, it's kind of my roots is that whole blues, folk blues. It's kind of like that Americana folk blues. Yeah, but down, you got it. Yeah, that's right. And so it's that E chord. Like I had to get that.
Yeah.
But so it gives it that soul. And this song is really, it's interesting because it is deep and it's a story, one of a story song. And but to capture the essence of really who we are, what's really to do here, quote unquote, is to just connect with that love. So I mean, we can do over the words or not, or whatever just comes up, you know what I mean? It's up to you. I like that kind of going over the words, but I hear you right now. There's a lot of anguish, a lot of anger going on in the world, anguish over what's going on, and feeling powerless, not able to control other people or to stop, whatever it may be. And the situation in our society and our families and our homes and our schools and our governments and whatever, in the world, and this virus and in the different sides and everything. And just, it's a lot of fear. So, the antidote to fear is love. And the song is called Whole Love, to become whole with the oneness of love, which is within us and around us. But, let it begin with me. It starts within me, because if I'm in fear, no matter what the world is around me, I'm going to contribute and attract that fear more and exacerbate.
So what does that look like? I mean, that is what, like, most people that I would think is okay, I'm scared. So what does whole love look like? What does peace inside of me look like? I don't know, because I don't see it anymore. It's like, how do you recognize it, or how do you get to it, or how do you connect with it, or whatever, I mean, it's like, what is it that we do in order, or be the big one, in order to reach that whole love, instead of just talking about it? That's kind of where I wanted to get in, because it's important. None of us know that right now. We're so freaking lost in this madness that's going on around.
So again, you have to connect with, there's only a couple of things to connect with in the moment, and with that truth of who in yourself, in your heart. So, I mean, again, simple to say, hard to do, most definitely, even for those that have practiced at it, and there's different practices to get to that moment.
You and I can practice it, and we're still walking through this just pretty much like everybody else. But what I'm noticing is that we have found something to grasp onto that a lot of people don't have, or aren't able to see, or are being told, or thinking that it's different than it is. I don't know what that means, but I'm just kind of downloading what it's feeling like to me. Because, there's a way, the way out is the way in. Is I said that right? The way in is the way out. It's like going inside of us and finding our wholeness and working and healing and doing all that stuff is the way out of all this. It's not looking outside of us and seeing all the garbage and, believing everything that one person tells you on one side and what somebody else tells you on the other side. That's very anguish producing. I don't know how else to say that. It's like, how do you survive that? Just walking through whole and love, and being able to love yourself and stay centered and purposeful and still in your life, Well,
because anything I've ever heard that's made any sense on the spiritual aspect is there's nothing you have to do. You're already loved. You're already loved. And when I first heard that on my journey, 23 years ago, I didn't believe him and her, the people that were telling me this, but I believed that they believed it. Because remember, belief is just a construct anyways. So
It's a construct. Maybe you need to explain that, because
construct. Okay, yeah, construct is just something that we come up with and it make it the quote unquote truth or a reality, and then it
to help
becomes
us deal with reality.
yeah, and it becomes the reality. The construct becomes, because if we look at that as the whole truth, the truth, the what do they say? You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
So
Yeah.
again, using that word whole, the
So
whole
help me
truth,
God.
right? That whole truth. And the reality is that that's another construct. The truth is within our hearts. We already know what the truth is. It's intuition. It's guiding us. It's that energy of feeling, of knowing what is. And so, yeah, again, you're right. How to access that is through our own sense of, connection with ourselves, with this energy of spirit, of, whatever that is, the universe, God, nature, life, source, creation, something that's bigger.
How do you do that though when you're anxious or depressed and your life's spinning and everything's spinning around you, and then add on all these other things that are coming up? And how do you access that in those moments?
Yes, exactly. So you have to go within. You have to go within. And so when you go within, at first, it's not, there's still going to be a lot of clatter, chatter, discontentedness, discomfort. Yes.
Darkness. Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's why I'm asking you these questions.
Or people will just don't feel anything. And they'll be like, this is nothing. I'm not feeling anything.
Well, because they're afraid of feeling, because they've been taught to feel. And feeling is what gets you through this stuff. But sometimes it really feels crazy or hurtful, or not hurtful. It hurts when it comes up, but it also goes away after it comes up. I always say, watch, if you really want to understand what sadness and all that and different feelings feel like, go watch the movie Inside Out, because it really gives you an understanding of what the body physiologically does when you actually feel your feelings. No matter what you've been told about how feelings are bad, or you're not allowed to cry or any of that stuff, go watch that movie and see what that does for you. If it doesn't work, fine. But, but yeah, I mean, there's I'm going to go to the words. We've got something. See, his family was troubled at the thought of him being humbled by the violence of the separateness of man. That when I heard that line today in the song, that's what's going on. How do we come to grips with that kind of stuff?
So here's the answer. But like a diamond in the rough, as the going got too tough, he just doubled down and thought of her again. And the her could be the her of this being, this person, or the her of his source, his connection with God. Because again, we live by this he, she, God is a he, and that's fine if that really is your comforting. But it's also a she. It's Mother Earth, Father God, it's the sun, it's the moon, it's all. So you're right. So in the first line of the second verse, see, his family was troubled at the thought of him being humbled by the violence of the separateness of man, which means that we're separate. So you're a threat. If you're not with me, you're against me. But like a diamond in the rough, as the going got too tough, he just doubled down, thought of his source again, thought of her again, whatever that connection is, doubled down as it got even more intense. And so again, let's just keep using the next line. His source is a she. When she entered through, his heart bloomed like a rose kissed with perfume, from the shine of what is, not what might have been. From the shine of what is currently, what is, capital I-S, not what might have been. Then they blended into oneness with the love that comes from wholeness, leaving fear alone to live the light within. So they leave the fear alone to live the light within. The intensity and the tangibility of the light, it's only felt within. And any good avatar is always pointed to that, meaning Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, Krishna, on and on, is that, blend into the oneness with the love that comes from the wholeness of who we truly are, source, ourselves, and this other beingness, those around us, leaving fear alone to live the light within.
What that says to me, the thing that popped into my head from me asking you those questions earlier, is being able to sit with yourself in all of it and just letting it, I don't know how else to say it. If there's a better word, let me know. But like when you let, because I'm doing it right now, it's like when you let it flow through you, it doesn't just breathe, allow it to come in, let it go out, allow it in, let it out, allow it in, let it out. And eventually it breaks that. Literally, it works with your physiology, your central nervous system to help break through that energy of fear or whatever. And eventually it does break through it. Sometimes it takes a little longer than others. Sometimes it feels like shit. Sometimes you're like bawling, the whole dark night of the soul, you're crying and bawling on the floor and then crying, let it out, let it out, let it out. And eventually there's something that releases if we let it. If we let it. And a lot of times we don't because we're so afraid of what that is.
I will say this, you nailed it. And I'll just change the if to when.
When
something that releases when we let it. Every time. It's a guarantee. You're right. The if is if we're going to, but eventually we do whether we want to or not.
You have to be willing to also.
Right. But eventually we do. So sometimes it takes a fall apart, a breakdown, but whatever.
Choice to break down.
Yes, that's right.
Because it's a choice to either hold on desperately and hold our breath and not do anything and let it all build up and build up and build up until we just start lashing out at everyone outside of us.
That's right.
Or we allow it to just like a balloon. Once you let it out, the balloon is done.
That's right.
Okay.
It's just a little piece of material. Right.
Yeah.
But that's, and that material can be resourced in any which way, you need to, to keep the metaphor with what you're saying. So, that's it. It's always finding that connection within your heart that knows that everything is okay in this moment, because the moment is all there really is. So even when it's not, meaning like, again, you're being attacked, you're in jail, I don't know, like anything that's like not a good moment, right? Like you're in this moment, it's still, the moment within your heart is still of goodness, of being alive. If you access it, it has to be, it's the living, breathing moment of source, of God. So when it's just the choice to do that and to continuously do that so that you can have the freedom. But the mind will create all kinds of stuff, and the consciousness of the group around us, meaning at first our families, and then going outward into our area, neighborhood, and our area, and our country, and our planet.
Mm-hmm. Forget about the subconscious, because you've got the one thought that you're thinking out here in the consciousness, and then you've got a million other thoughts in the subconscious that we're not even aware of, that's out there, which is part of the mass consciousness, which is part of our own, memories, whatever that is, whatever those are. But there's a lot more in the subconscious than we're aware of.
Absolutely. And so that's why consciously we choose to be going beyond that in the moment of what truly is, which is with the breath. I am breathing.
What is the
therefore I am.
What is it called when the neuro-linguistic programming, is it neuro-linguistic programming or something else, where when you start to, the way you think is how your body responds. And like, if you change a thought, if you have a thought like, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, because you're so mean to me, and da, 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 da. Well, guess what? You're attracting that person or whatever to be mean to you, and your hate is causing that because they feel that energy from you. And then one day you switch that into loving that person and feeling empathy for that person or compassion for that person, and switching that, and you keep doing it, you keep seeing that person as like a little kid that's been harmed or hurt or something, and you turn that out of you get rid of that piece of it, and you're consciously doing that, and it kind of changes everything in the way you think in your mind, which also changes everything everywhere else. It changes your body, it changes your subconscious. You release those things in the subconscious, you begin to release that, and you consciously do that until it becomes a habit, which becomes subconscious.
Yes.
which turns it into like a daily act as opposed
That's
to.
why it's a daily practice is a better word for it. But
Right.
yes, a daily, meaning an hourly, a momently, moment by moment practice is all you can do. And that's why anybody who's got some kind of, any body, B-O-D-Y, has got some kind of spiritual groundedness is because of what their daily practice is. No matter what it is, it's just their daily and moment by moment practice of
Right.
connecting with that within. And so,
and
yeah.
it's so powerful to do that, because when you make a decision and you start going along that path or that journey, and you butt up against things coming up in your life, they'll suck. They'll still suck. It still sucks for a little bit. Now you've got a different perspective of it. And you also have tools where you can kind of like, oh, well, one of the biggest tools that I use for myself and I tell others about is just putting your hands on your heart and just breathing, feeling your aliveness, because breath is, if you don't breathe, which most of us don't, you'll die, so breathing and just connecting with yourself and giving yourself that opportunity, clearing all that mess out of your head,
Well, and I will say this, because I know what you meant by that. And you're right. We all are breathing. That's one thing we all have in common if we're still above the ground of this planet. So we all are breathing, but most of us don't. What we don't do is connect with the energy of the breath, which is, again, that's the appreciation or the gratitude of being alive, of being here, of being this essence of source, of God, of oneness. And so when we connect with the breath, then we've got that, then we're actually, quote unquote, really breathing, because we're all breathing shallow, whatever, unconsciously, just to, our hearts are going, or else we're not here anymore. So it's becoming conscious and connected with the breath, with what the breath actually signifies is being alive, not just surviving, but being alive and being one with truth of all is in this moment of breath.
Isn't that what the breath signifies in itself, is the connection with oneness and truth and creation and all that, because creation was breathed into existence.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Right. So that's what, so when we breathe with conscious connection to that, then we have that moment of whole love, because that's what we are anyways.
Right.
As a soul. And so we connect with that love, and that's all we can do. And then there's another moment. So, and then the mind comes in and the mass consciousness, all this kind of stuff. It's okay. Or, fears, come through. All right. And then what's to do? And maybe we'll have something to quote unquote do with it, because sometimes you need to, do. However, the ultimate thing to do is to be connected with the truth of who we are, which is in that sense of love and sense of life and sense of light. Again, so, that become oneness with the love that comes from wholeness, leaving fear alone to live the light within.
Yeah. I'd like to share something that I had read a few years ago when I did a course on, it was called MBSR, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction. And I think Sarah Brockton, I forget how to pronounce her name, she talks about this in some of her videos, if it's the right person. She had gone through some really weird, crazy illness that most people don't experience. And she was in the hospital for many, 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 many months. And she was in so much pain that drugs were not doing anything for her, and, whatever. And part of her practice to learn how to deal with that in mindfulness was to sit when the pain came up, to just sit with it and say in the moment, because they talk about the moment, like you're saying, and then just to sit with it and say, and just count like 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000 in the moment, feeling it in the moment, going through the pain, and then knowing that the next moment it won't be there anymore. And then just keep doing that. She said she kept doing it. She did that for like months and months and months and months and months until she stopped having that pain. And now she's doing really well, but it's just personally, I'm like, I don't know if I could do that, but I would make an effort to attempt it. But the point is like being in the moment And the next moment, it's still okay. We're still here. We're still okay. We just get to work through that pain in the moment. Count, breathe, whatever it takes to deal with it. But that was so inspiring for me to hear that when I saw it. I just wanted to share that if you can find it, if it's the right person. I hope I'll make a comment if it's not. But Sarah Brethnack, somebody, I don't know if you recognize the name to pull from, but yeah, that was just really powerful to be able to just in this moment. Okay, and now it hurts, but I'm okay. I'm still here. I'm safe in this moment. In this moment, I'm still here. I'm in this moment. In the moment, the moment, the moment, the moment, and that's how she lived her life, moment to moment to moment to moment.
Yes.
So that's what really.
Yeah, no, and that's fantastic because and then remember that that's all there is. And so, in this moment, everything's beautiful. That's all there is.
And in this moment is when we hear, if we're present, that's when we get inspiration from source.
Yes. It's the only way to get it, whether we do it unconsciously. And that's why a lot of times, like in artistic ways and all different ways, music, any type of artistic endeavor or intellectual property of inventions or systems is through when we're not conscious in our dreams or when that pre-conscious, right before we awake, we get this moment of inspiration.
Or meditating.
Right. A moment of inspiration.
Right.
And I saw Wayne Dyer do this inspiration in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, inspiration is not done through figuring stuff out. It's done through getting quiet and going into the moment. And then we can be inspired. Maybe it's an external thing that's inspiring us, a song, a word, a look, a glance. It's still being in the moment so that we can be inspired in spirit. And so we could connect with that and then.
And feel the next feeling. Once you connect with that inspiration, you feel that next feeling. It's usually a beautiful feeling when you're in the moment.
That's right. That's correct. Because it being in spirit is a beautiful feeling. So that's all it is. And it is a practice. And it's a daily practice, and sometimes it can be an hourly or a minutely or momentarily practice. So
what do you say about, like, when I've heard people say, oh, I've done my personal development and I'm good. And it's like,
they're good.
They're okay.
You know what I mean? What are you going to do? I mean, obviously the good is in quotations.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. I mean, it's okay, but it's just, it's like, let it begin with me, am I good or not? And when I'm good, then, look out for the next moment to come with, why am I good? Am I good because of my external circumstances or this construct that I created to say that this is what's good? Now I'm good, because that can change and will. And
well, that's what I was asking. That's what I was saying, because a lot of times people that I've met who have said that usually are ones or people I've dealt with who, or talk to, whatever, who like blow up in the minute. Oh, I'm good. Blah, and it's like, how do you you can't do anything for them.
No. And again, you have to look at that as that's their creation of what good is.
But being okay in the moment with yourself, no matter how.
Yes. No matter how it's happening, no matter who, what, when, where, how is happening. Yes. Connect with yourself and your source in that moment.
Okay. Yeah. So
hopefully we did that. I feel like we did. I'm going to do that right now with a little water. And, I'd love to, again, to get any listeners or viewers to their comments or feedbacks on what works for them or any questions or concerns that they're having.
Truth.
Bless you.
Thank
Sneeze you. On the truth. That's right.
Yes.
So, so this song is out of purpose. It was never official release or video or anything like that, but it really, it really is timely. It's always going to be timely because, it's kind of the duality of being here in this world and needing and wanting to go deeper so that you can be free from and untethered from the challenges and the aspects of fear that create, a suffering, create the suffering. And so, so it's feeling the pain of being in duality and going beyond it. There is no suffering. The suffering is within everything that we create based on the consciousness of separateness.
And then being in that space of being separate and learning how to connect again, because on this plane, we're meant to be separate in order to connect.
Yes, because we're never really separate, even though we have separate units called bodies and minds and all that, we're still like one ocean, one wave of energy. And
right.
That's, you know what I mean? But again, that's just a concept of humankind, because we're so indoctrinated into the separateness of being. And so that's why we have to make it a concept, which then our mind calls a construct, but it really isn't. It's the concept and the truth of we are all one. You know, within the oneness, we have this separate beingness, or separate being that's being, right? But we're still all one being.
Didn't you blend it into oneness with the love that comes from wholeness?
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
That's all we can do in the moment.
Yeah.
The moment is all there really is.
Yep.
So, well,
all right.
Much love. And yes, to be continued. That's the good news. It's always to be continued, because there's another moment right behind this moment, whatever the experience is.
Yeah. And thank you all for being here. And, hopefully there's something we talked about that can connect with you and help you find a way, to help yourself walk through whatever it is that you are walking through. Yes. So
much love and blessing.
Yes.
To you, light and love to you and yours, and we'll catch you on the next one.
All right. Have a good week.